Hi, I am Julia, and this is my artist presentation. I'm currently a art teacher at Stroudsburg Area School District. I teach grades K through 4. I am a graduate of Kutztown University. I got my master's in reading from East Stroudsburg University, and I'm currently working on my second master's at Kutztown for art education. I am also the owner of Miss T's Art Room. I started creating animal portraits when I was a very young age of 8, and I started working in the medium of pastels. When I was in high school, I started dabbling in acrylics, and I really liked the process of being able to layer paint on top of each other. I still was able to capture the textures and the highlights and the lowlights and the values and the shades of the animal's fur. When I got to Kutztown, this is where I started to be almost forced to branch out of my shell of um, acrylics and pastels. On the left, you'll see a watercolor that I created at Kutztown, and on the right, you will see an etching that I created in printmaking class, both of which I really struggled with in the beginning, but in the end, I really embraced both mediums. So I guess you could say I was exploring my craft. For my graduation piece at Kutztown, I went back to my roots and got into the acrylics again. And my major study for my education program was painting. This is a horse named Jack. He was for my senior exhibition. I did manage to start to loosen up a little bit with the brushstrokes, use some colors that I wouldn't usually use. And then after I graduated, I wanted to explore more. I wanted to get into fiber arts. I wanted to get into ceramics. Here you'll see is where I was studying the craft of weaving, and I created some coil pots. And then on the right, I started to getting to know the craft of ceramics, and I created a 3x4 coil pot. I also tried felting, and I also tried to create some glass beads, of which it was an epic fail, and I learned that that craft was not for me. But the felting, on the other hand, was something that I truly enjoyed, and I still do to this day. I got into art that would help the mind, and I really got into the process of neurographic art. Neurographic art was created by an artist who was from Russia, and he was a psychologist. And it was basically a way to put your mind in Zen. So my process for this was to put watercolor down and allow the watercolor to dry with puddles. And then I would use a fine point Sharpie, and I would go through and just find the lines that the water had left and create an image using hatching, cross hatching, and different types of lines. And I found that this was something you could pick up and put down at any given time. And it was almost like getting into a good book. You really just kind of let your mind go and your imaginations. You could set intentions before you started it. And then when you were done, you would reflect on the process and think about what you've learned and what you've untangled in your mind as you went through creating these neurographic art pieces. This was another neurographic art piece that I created, but I did not do it with watercolor. I just created it with 3 different shapes and made sure that I did not have any right angles in the picture within my composition. And I used metallic markers and Sharpie to just kind of dive in and let the picture take me where it wanted to take me. I currently own Miss T's Art Room LLC, and this was my way of reaching out into the public and getting to know local small businesses such as wineries, breweries, studios, and they had asked me to come in and create paint and sips for the guests or people who were coming in. We did all kinds of mediums, such as painting on palettes, painting on canvas, doing watercolor, drawings. I did lots of glass painting with enamels. And on snow days, I paint glasses and I sell them at craft fairs. I also create glass portraits for animals, and I am a candle maker. My inspiration is the animals that are around me. This is me and my little dog Teddy, who's giving a kiss on the cheek, and my horse Cricket, who I am jumping over a fence with. And Jupiter is one of my clients who I ride and train horses in the summer months when there is no school. And I travel throughout the East Coast and up to Canada to horse shows for clients that need help preparing and getting ready for the show ring. But finding the connection to those animals is what truly gives me my inspiration for my animal portraits. And when I'm creating my animal portraits, I have to make sure that I need to develop the craft, because when I first started with this process, I needed to make sure that the paints that I was using were going to stick and were going to adhere to either the glass, the drinking glass, or the um, the ornament that I was painting them on. And I found that enamels worked best, and you put them in the oven, a cold oven. You bake them on 250 degrees for 1 hour, turn the oven off and let it cool for 5 hours. And then you open up the oven, your artwork is adhered to the glass, and voila, you have a finished project. I always, and I want to get into the express part of the 8 Studio of Habits. Feeling, I always want to capture the animal's spirit and personality. When I observe them, I study the animal. I want to be physically with them, or if the animal has passed, I study photographs. I talk to their owners. I want to get to know them just as well as I get to know my animals that give me inspiration to get to know these animals that I am creating. I want to look into their eyes and really see what their markings are, what the spirit is that's coming out in their eyes, the personality that's coming out in my painting. Did I capture that? Then I move on to reflect. And again, I want to make sure that I am capturing their personality within their portrait. And often I collaborate with my mom, who is an animal lover and also an artist as well. And she will definitely give me some honest feedback of, your eyes are offset, or this doesn't look quite right, or wow, this really does look like so and so's pet. And I admire that about her very much, her honesty. So those are the main 8 habits of studio of mine that I use for my craft. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.